All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today on a topic that I think a lot of you are going to find pretty interesting. It's timely, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So we found this podcast, right? And they basically went ahead and said, here are 5 cryptos that, uh, well, you should probably think about selling.
Yeah, they didn't pull any punches.
You know how it is with crypto. It's like up, down, all around. So we figured it's worth taking a look, not giving financial advice or anything,
Absolutely not. No.
but just really kind of dissecting what they're saying. So for reference, we're looking at Terra Luna Classic, LUNC,
Right.
SafeMoon
Yeah.
ticker.
Yep.
We got Shiba Inu, the classic SHE, BitTorrent, that's BTT, and then HEX.
GX.
HEX, yeah. So that's our lineup for today.
Should be a good one. I mean, each of these has their own kind of story, baggage, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, they're all bad for the same reason.
So let's kick things off with Terra Luna Classic.
The podcast we were listening to, they really went in on that whole meltdown thing last year. Billions gone, poof.
Yeah, it's hard to forget that one. I mean, so many people got burned.
And they're saying it's not just history repeating itself. They're worried about LUNC because of this thing called token dilution.
Right, which, to be fair, dilution happens in a lot of cryptos. But with LUNC, the supply is constantly changing.
So it's not just that more tokens exist now than before,
No, it's that more are constantly getting created.
which that's a whole other level of concern, I would imagine, if you're holding LUNC. All right, moving on. SafeMoon. Man, remember when that was like the next big thing?
It was everywhere you looked. Yeah.
But the podcast, they're saying SafeMoon might be, well, not so safe anymore.
Yeah, they really honed in on the whole fear of missing out thing, the FOMO trap.
Oh, yeah.
SafeMoon went up so fast, partly because people were afraid of being left behind.
Right. They just see the price going up and they're like, I got to get in on that.
Exactly.
Right.
But then, when the hype dies down, what's left?
That's the question. And in SafeMoon's case, the podcast says, maybe not much.
Yeah, they pointed out some controversies, questioned the real-world use, stuff like that, and that shakes confidence,
Makes you wonder how many cryptos follow that same path, right? Initial boom, then.
The fizzle.
The fizzle, yeah. Okay, speaking of hype, let's talk about Shiba Inu. Love it, hate it. You got to admit, SHI's got a huge community behind it.
Yeah, absolutely massive.
But the podcast, well, they weren't so gung-ho on it.
They called it, like, the ultimate meme coin, which, I mean, it kind of is.
But what does that even mean in the long run?
That's their point. They're saying SHI went up based on basically internet memes and speculation, no real utility behind it.
So if the market takes a downturn and people get scared.
They dump the meme coins first. That's the idea.
Interesting. Kind of reminds me of what we were just saying about SafeMoon, too. Hype can only carry you so far.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to BitTorrent.
Okay, yeah.
I remember when BitTorrent came out. It was supposed to revolutionize file sharing, change the whole internet.
It had big ambitions.
But the podcast says it's not looking so hot for BTT right now. They were talking about liquidity as a big problem.
Right, so basically it's getting harder to buy and sell BTT without, like, messing up the price.
Oh, so like if you try to sell a large amount, suddenly the price plummets.
Exactly. And for a lot of investors, that's a huge red flag. It's like, well, if I can't get out easily.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Almost makes me wonder, though, is it truly a liquidity problem or just that people aren't as interested in BTT anymore?
That's a good question. It could be a bit of both.
Right. Okay, last one. And they saved the most controversial for last, I guess, HEX.
Yeah, this one's been interesting from the very beginning.
The podcast, they basically said HEX might be a Ponzi scheme, which, whoa, strong word.
Yeah, they're not saying that's true. Got to be clear about that. But we can look at their reasoning.
Right, exactly. So explain it to me like I'm 5. What's a Ponzi scheme?
Okay, so imagine someone says, invest with me and I'll give you crazy returns.
Okay, sounds good so far.
But they're not actually investing the money. They're just using new investors' money to pay off the old investors.
Oh, so it's like a pyramid.
Exactly. And eventually it all collapses because there's no real value being created. And the podcast is saying some aspects of HEX, like the high promised returns, how they emphasize early investors, it kind of resembles that model.
Wow. Okay, so that's a LT to digest, right? We went through LUNC, SafeMoon, SHE, BTT, HEX.
Yeah, we covered some ground.
And for each one, some pretty serious concerns were raised. I guess the takeaway here is don't just jump into crypto blindly. Do your research. Be skeptical.
Absolutely. I mean, this deep dive kind of raises the question, how can we all get better at spotting these red flags before we invest?
Right. Like, is it about understanding the technology, the team behind the project, the market trends? It's a lot to consider.
It is. And unfortunately, there's no easy answer. But being aware of the risks is a good first step.
Absolutely. So everyone listening, take this as a starting point. Keep learning, keep researching. The crypto world's not going anywhere.
It's going to keep evolving. Yeah.
Exactly. And hopefully, with more knowledge, we can all make smarter choices.
That's the goal.
All right, that wraps it up for this deep dive. Thanks for tuning in.
Catch you next time.